Oh my God, I had horrible flu this past 2 days. I'm better. I have a skin as food. And yeah, I think with drinking moringa water, the fact that I've always been, even before I had flu, helped. So now I'm feeling much, much better. I thought I wasn't going to make it to work tomorrow, but it looks like I will. Welcome. Thank you so much. Happy Sunday. I'm with my gang over here. I'm just have a preview. Yes, gotta keep it plastic because yeah. Someone you who Casey Kunjan brother and sister. Okay, I just wanted to share lessons I learned from my grandmother. Yeah. Where can I start? So, lessons I learned from my grandmother. I remember, I'll just be very, very brief. It was a couple of years ago. I was still working for Rise FM at the time. The first year, 2013. There's a certain fella who came to me. Aqala ukungibona. You know, kuba nebuntu sometimes because I was using Texas. Namanje ngisawasebenzisa. Ngihambe angibona hlangane nami passing Europa. Athi unjani sisagcoke ama overall, okay. You know? Unjani sisa, I'm like ngiyaphila unjani? Wathi no, sharp. Wathi nami right. And then he said to me, may I please accompany you? I said, no, it's fine. You know, I was so chilled. I was like, but I'm in a hurry because I need to catch a taxi so that I can go home. There's a lot that I need to do. And he said to me, okay, cool. We just walked briefly. That's okay. It was before I moved to Riverside Estate. We went and we just started talking about general stuff. What's unebundu, you know? You don't know me, but you welcome me, you know, gosh, no. As a person, we should respect people and not titles. Fine, that's my mom. So, to cut a long story short, conversation ended. Asked for my numbers. I couldn't give it to him. For some odd reason, the next day at work, I received a bouquet of flowers and coffee and a note saying, "Thank you for having humanity." Jigiti gang you where I stayed, you know, after quite some time, and we communicated. But now, the most oddest and strangest thing was he was so ready to commit, and in a space of less than a month, but he was already talking, maybe please just get married, we'll get to know each other along the way. And I couldn't accept it. I couldn't. And then, for some odd reason, my grandmother and I'm not going to finish the story. My grandmother and I had a conversation because there was a point in time where he found out where I stayed. And he told my aunt about his intentions. I was still very young at the time. I mean, I just graduated. I'm a newly grad. Ibile, I passed, but I have not yet graduated. I started working at Rise before graduating. I graduated whilst I was working for Rise, right? So now, okay, cool. My grandmother sat me down and said, there's a stage. Bugelan. Mama yataka what's it called? There's a stage as a woman where you like a bloom, you're like a flower. What's my intersection? And that's the most dangerous stage in phase because it's either early 20s, mid 20s to 30s, or before. It depends. And so, and 16-year-old, you might think you know. Fine. And back then we did not necessarily really went that active much on Facebook, social media, so the dangers did not affect us that much. Carrying on with the conversation, my grandmother sat me down, and she said to me, there are 4 different types of men and women. I'm like, okay. Number 1, there's a man who is for the good time. Nice life. Groove okalo, you drink together, you smoke together, you do all sorts of things together. This guy is like, yo, party vibes through and through, right? And then the second type of guy or man you will find, and female, is the one that is after your legacy. Ingcebo. Ingcebo does not necessarily mean ukuthi ube nemapolisi nemali. Ingcebo can be your brain, your mind, ubuhlakani bakho, your wisdom as a woman. A person athi ukuthi even if I find this one as a student, but nangampheka, it will look as if I made her. And abe khona kuwe kutokucinzetela umangalo ukuthi yes, you are prosperous endlini, you've got cars, you've got property nani, but ukhiphe kukhona yakhe just so he can tap into your mental state, and just so he can get advice, so he can amplify his life and his family's life. And when I look tite, but not that much. And sometimes we'll be a house executive. A lot of women like to call themselves house executives. We'll be a housewife or house executive, but you're not, because administration you do in cleaning, that is work. You're like a superwoman because you do 100 gazillion things at once. And when the logo. And then before you know it, in 20 years time, or 5 years or 2 years or a year, it depends. Pele. Ahambe. Move on mundu lamatil vigi or 2 weeks, or mundu lo bega solo vele ahlose ukuthi abe naye. That's life. And then you find a lot of us saying, oh my God, how could I waste so much of my time with this particular person? And the third one, these ones are rare to find. They're rare breeds, but they're there. Ubaba sekhaya no mama sekhaya. This is a person who wants to build a home with you, create a legacy with you, not amplify his legacy through you. This is a person who wants to have children with you, who wants to be one with you. The fourth one, I forgot, I'll remember. And my grandmother said, in the midst of everything, don't confuse Mr. Nice Guy and Mr. I want your ngcebo as a family man. And don't confuse a family man as someone who's just in your life for theatrics. So today, as you're watching the stream, I hope that whoever is in your life, you will assess and scrutinize properly to say, who is this? Is this Mr. or Mrs. Nice Time? Is this Mr. or Mrs. Let's build a legacy, create our own? Or is this a person who's just after what they are after, and after that they leave? Seasonal people. Let's distinguish between people who are here to teach us irizini, people who are here for a season, and people who are in our life for a lifetime. And once we pray, that is why I keep on saying the spirit of discernment is very important, because at times you pick it up very quickly. I've learned a lot in my life. I'm not perfect. And I would love for parents to understand that as human beings, we're not perfect. I've made mistakes. But what I love about life is the fact that I'm alive. God is great. I've got my family. My grandparents are still alive. I get to see my nephews and nieces grow in front of me. I get to parent even though I've never given birth as yet. And that is a blessing. I get to say words of affirmation that I'm good, I'm beautiful, I'm great, I'm powerful beyond measure. I love the quote from Akila and the Bee, the movie. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate, but our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. You are powerful. I am great. I am amazing. Tell yourself that. Declare it. Proclaim it. Go to 2 Timothy usho yathi utitshele ukuthi ingcebo igolide nesiliva konke lokula emhlabeni kwami uye ku Genesis usho ukuthi uNkulunkulu lo wadala izulu nemhlaba wadala nawe. He knew you. God knows even every strand of your hair, each and every itino letakho ngokuphelaphelela kwathi uyadadi ukuthi tingaki. Tell me if that's not the greatest form of appreciation and love. I don't know what is. That is the most amazing public display of love and affection without even banging seed. Tell yourself, declare to Jeremiah 29 verse 11, I understand, God. Thank you for the fact that you've got plans that are not meant to harm me. Thank you for the fact that people might see Hlengiwe as someone who is not worthy. But you see Hlengiwe as a mage wesive. You see Hlengiwe as an Azanian baby, an African child. Status quo. People might say my story and may derive their own narrative and write their own narrative, but my narrative and the narrative that you have for me is powerful. You declare that. If not you, then who? If you don't believe, then who? Who must believe in your behalf? Sometimes we need to have that stubborn faith. But it is well and it tolunga. Let's move away from the blame and shame mentality. So as I close, remember these 4 different people, although I mentioned 3. Maybe the 4th one you need to discover yourself. Who knows? Happy Sunday. Have a great day. We'll meet tomorrow. Emsagadweni. Kukibiganat.